Managing Creativity in Advertising and Integrated Brand Promotion. This is the part that everybody assumes is what app marketing is complete, is the creative side. This is definitely part of it, but for this class, you're going to understand specifically what creativity means in context of advertising. So here we are, part 3. We just got done with part 2. Chapter 9 begins with the concept of creativity. And then in chapter 10, we'll go into it even in more depth. And then chapter 11 is executing. And that'll take us quite a while here, quite a ways. Brand strategy, creative strategy. Here's the thing. As you think about this, really what the creative process is and why be creative. What does that even mean? Well, really what it means is being noticed. So I'm strictly talking about advertising. We're trying to sell this. So signage is part of creativity. A cleverly designed sign can get you to look at something. The way a product is packaged is part of the creative strategy, can get you to look at something, to consider it. You're trying to cut through all the other offers out there in the media world, competing for your attention and interest. So the creativity is just that. It's getting noticed so it can be evaluated based upon the competitive advantage and the value proposition. So this strategy is, what's it going to take? It's a blueprint for creative work, the creative team in management. I've worked with creative people. I'll give you the end of the story. My goal is, if I could explain who the target market was, what we want them to know and understand in the advertisement, then how do you do that to be noticed? What's a creative process? It's let creative people be creative. Now, it can be, we don't want it to be creative for creative's sake. It's a means to an end. So there's judgment calls here, but that should get you going. So why does advertising thrive on creativity? Just as I said, you got to get noticed. Makes sense to is it understood? Sets the agenda for how the brand is understood. Images, colors, sounds, music, jingles, and so on. It gives meaning to the brand. It reinforces the image you're trying to create. The brand remembers reputation, what fits. I mean, consider Nike as a good example. Nike is, it's really pioneered this imaging and creativity. Started off with Bo Jackson, if you remember him. Bo knows. That was kind of the creative side of things. He could play any sport. If you don't know who it was, look it up. I can't think of the basketball player's name, but Michael Jordan. Before Jordan, there was Bo Jackson. And Bo Jackson could literally do anything as a sports guy. But that was kind of the running thing. I'll give you a link in class to look at old ads. It's kind of fun to do. So creativity is, how do we capture and hold interest or attention? So cognitive style reflects early childhood experiences, social circumstances. Cognitive styles, how you think, how you evaluate. Know your target market. If they find it valuable, you need to speak to that. If that's important to them when they make a purchase decision, you need to speak to that. Subaru does a really good job of beating the drum of creative ways to talk about safety. Okay, because that's one of their value propositions for their automobiles. It's a safe. It's going to bring you home, and they're very good at that. Very good at that. Creative genius in advertising business. Yeah, Apple's Think Different, Absolute Ads. If you don't know those, look them up. It was a feeling. There's a real powerful psychology to this. And again, I'll give you examples from the internet that might help you. Helps break through the clutter and be remembered. Why does advertising thrive on creativity? It just absolutely does. This is why creative types can command, very good pay for what they do. And again, it's based upon what the target market values and what they understand. It doesn't talk down to them. It doesn't talk over their heads. It talks directly to those things that matter. And it's there in everything. Okay. Absolut was the kind of vodka that was used. The shape of the bottle was the creative way that they delivered it. Captain Obvious, was a way to get, Hotels.com on the map. There's a lot going on out there. Agencies, clients, and creative process. So in Chapter 10, we'll talk more about the specifics of the creative process. But ad agencies are where you talk to the creative types. You got the, business people, and you got the creative types. And they tend to be different types of people. Not good or bad, it's just different types. So the creative side of things, they're just a different type of person, but you need them. The uncertain nature of creative work can make it look from the outside as if creatives are having fun while others handle clients and business pressures. But what you're trying to do is get them to see in a different way how you can message information and get it people to believe it and act upon it. Remember, inform, persuade. Inform, persuade. It's selling at its highest level. Account executives are the people at ad agencies that are the go-between between the creatives and the client. So they've got a big job, but that's a big chunk of what they do. Poor creativity, summary of assuring poor creativity. Treat the target audience like a statistic instead of a living person. Your archetype. Who's your typical customer? Well, we've got a description. So what's going to make sense given who you're trying to sell to and what you want, how you want to position that brand or that product? Make a hodgepodge or just a mess of things instead of a consistent linear, this fits because of who we're trying to sell to. No philosophy. A set of beliefs is really what they're talking about there. Give the client a candy store, mix and match your campaigns, fix it in production, blame the creatives for bad creative. This is a dynamic environment, and it's a very tricky one because you're dealing with customers that maybe switch ad agencies every year or two because they want the next latest and greatest thing. This is a very involved process. Alrighty. Coordination. Let's just go on a little bit. Performance of teams, because you got different people that would work with music or jingles or images or video. There's lots of different talents out there that can help you that you're possibly going to need. Template for a creative brief. This would be to hand to a client, say, okay, here's what here's how we see the world and how we're going to make you into how you want to be seen by your target market. So this is a 100% a communications process. 10 rules for effective brainstorming. I'm not going to read these to you, but they're a good one. It's a good way to work on this. You can do it with yourself, but if you can find a partner to help you, that's maybe not a bad idea. Okay. Become more creative with AI. AI can certainly help. It's not AI is only as good as what you feed it. All right, so you need to understand, like I said here, take stock of your unique skills and abilities. Assess your strengths and weaknesses. AI can help with brainstorming, prototypes, research, idea exploration. But it doesn't replace the mind behind it. Okay, so it's just a mechanical processing in a lot of ways. Okay, so people, processes, in place. That's a good way to think of it. Here, those 3 Ps. But we'll talk about this more in chapter 10. But read through this carefully and make sure you're on top of things work-wise. And I look forward to reading your work.